migrant apprehensions and referrals. Over 165,000 migrant apprehension and referrals. Again, this is in combination with DPS, Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, and Texas Military Department. Vehicle pursuits, over 1,000 vehicle pursuits. Narcotics seizures, marijuana, over 13,000 pounds of marijuana has been seized since the start of Operation Lone Star. Cocaine seizures, 2,429 pounds. Methamphetamine seizures, right now we're at right over 1,000 pounds of methamphetamine. Heroin, 37 pounds. Fentanyl, 157 pounds during the operation. Currency seizures, over $7 million of currency has been seized during Operation Lone Star. And as we talk about outside of the area of interest, this is still related to border nexus, any type of border criminal activity that's taking place along the border and other parts of within the state. Marijuana, over 9,000 pounds. Cocaine, over 800 pounds of cocaine. Methamphetamine, over 10,000 pounds. Heroin, over approximately 119 pounds. Fentanyl, 712 pounds. And currency, over $15 million of currency. Now, again, this is happening within the state of Texas, which has ties to criminal activity, which has a border nexus. Now we're going to talk about some significant events that have taken place within the past 2 weeks during Operation Lone Star. December 1st, in Starr County, a DPS trooper attempted to stop a vehicle. Of course, the driver refused to stop, and as the vehicle was driving, you can see in the video there's illegal immigrants that are exiting the vehicle while the vehicle is in motion. The driver continued fleeing from law enforcement, and as you can see there, crashed through a barrier at the port of entry there in Starr County and fled into Mexico. Hours later, that same driver came back into the U.S. It was a female driver. She did admit to being the driver to that particular incident right there, that she was smuggling illegal immigrants across, and she was placed under arrest by DPS. She did have previous criminal charges for smuggling, also for operating a stash house, and multiple charges for evading arrest. She was on supervisory release for harboring illegal immigrants as well. So she did have a history being involved in criminal activity. November 30th, DPS troopers and our CID special agents responded to a stash house in Webb County. As a result, they were able to apprehend 53 migrants, as well as 4 ounces of marijuana was seized inside the residence. All the migrants were referred to U.S. Border Patrol. Kinney County, this is in the Del Rio sector. November 28th, DPS troopers stopped a U-Haul truck. Two drivers, actually one driver, one male passenger. During the interview, it was discovered that the driver and the passenger were smuggling 12 migrants in the back of the cargo area of the U-Haul truck. Both driver and passenger were confirmed members of Crips from Oklahoma. As you can see there, the pictures that show where the migrants were being smuggled through. November 26th, the day after Thanksgiving, here in Hidalgo County, this occurred in La Jolla. DPS trooper attempted to stop a Ford pickup truck who was suspected of smuggling illegal immigrants from a stash house. Once the driver refused to stop and evaded from law enforcement, due to the reckless driving of the driver, the excessive speed, the driver rolled the vehicle over, and as a result of that, 2 migrants were killed as a result of that crash. 11 migrants were transported to the hospital. The driver was charged with human smuggling and evading arrest. And just one thing I want to touch on this particular case, the driver had previously been deported under Title 42 this year and was deported back to Mexico. He came back into the U.S. for the same purpose, to smuggle migrants across, and again, he was arrested. So he had previous history of being deported and for smuggling. November 24th, Zavala County. DPS troopers were involved in a vehicle pursuit. As you can see there, the driver struck one of the DPS patrol cars trying to flee from law enforcement. As a result of that, 5 migrants were apprehended and referred to U.S. Border Patrol. So this goes to show you some of the desperation and tactics from these human smugglers as they try to flee from law enforcement. November 23rd, Edwards County. DPS trooper attempted to stop a vehicle, white Ford Expedition, which led to a pursuit. The driver then bailed out, entered a residence, broke into a residence, assaulted the resident owner, and took her vehicle and fled from the location. This is still an ongoing investigation. We're trying to identify the driver and also where this driver could be and his whereabouts. As a result of that, 5 migrants were apprehended. Again, as we talk about the desperation and the tactics that these smugglers are using, in this particular case, actually broke into a residence, assaulted the resident owner, and took her vehicle. November 19th, this is our second incident that we've been able to apprehend a human smuggler that's bringing illegal immigrants across on rafts. And of course, it's a big collaboration with our partners, with the Texas Military Department, who's able to see these events take place. And with the assistance from them as well, we're able to apprehend these smugglers that are coming across. Again, this was a human smuggler that was bringing illegal immigrants across on rafts. He was responsible for smuggling 79 migrants across the Rio Grande River. This occurred in Stark County. And of course, with the collaboration of DPS and Texas National Guard, we're able to apprehend and arrest this human smuggler. So right now I'm going to turn it over to Major Michael Perry from the Texas Military Department, who's going to talk about their efforts and what they've been doing during Operation Lone Star in the past 2 weeks.
Thank you, Lieutenant Oliveras. And on behalf of Brigadier General Eulis, Texas Military Department Border Commander, we just want to give you a quick update over the past 2 weeks, which of course included a holiday. So although operations went on, I do want to mention the 2 events that we had for the holiday of Thanksgiving. Some of you attended, we appreciate that. We had an event in Del Rio and an event in Edinburgh. DPS troopers and Texas National Guardsmen were able to be visited by Governor Abbott and other senior leadership. And we want to thank them for that because those things help during the holidays for everybody that are deployed here on the border. As you saw from the last slide, our joint operations with Department of Public Safety continue. We are approaching almost 84,000 apprehensions and referrals to U.S. CBP, along with state trespassing crimes that we do along with the Department of Public Safety. Additionally, we're at close to 6,300 turnbacks as we expand the operation. And as you know, a turnback is keeping the nefarious activity from coming into the state of Texas. So that's a win for us whenever we turn back criminal activity. Temporary infrastructure and barrier is continuing to be constructed. I will verify that we are now doing it in the Rio Grande Valley without getting into specifics. So we have started our temporary infrastructure in the Rio Grande Valley, as well as in the Del Rio sector continues. We're approaching a completion of over 6 miles right now with plenty of other land that's ready for construction. We're continuing training with our law enforcement partners. This training is crucial to what we're doing to deal with the trespassing on private property. The National Guard actually has quite a few Texas certified police officers in its ranks along the border, which acts as a force multiplier for the National Guard. It allows us to train our own troops along with Department of Public Safety, and that experience out there in operations is valuable for what we're doing to protect the private property. And lastly, we continue our mission contingency operation planning as we expand. We're able to surge and move equipment, personnel, and capabilities anywhere along the Texas border, as you saw Operation Steel Curtain from 3 weeks ago. So we continue to do that. With our law enforcement partners, we can deploy anywhere in the state of Texas to stop large caravans or any other nefarious activity from crossing in. That's my brief for the past 2 weeks. I think we're going to come over here and take some questions now.